At first light, when the land is still undecided between night and morning, the lark rises. There is no dramatic takeoff, no sudden burst of speed. It ascends steadily, wing beats measured, climbing into the open air as if drawn upward by sound itself. Before the sun fully claims the horizon, the sky is already alive, not with movement, but with voice. The lark does not sing from shelter. It sings from exposure. This choice defines everything about its existence. While many birds rely on concealment, height, or density for protection, the lark commits to openness. Grasslands, plains, and cultivated fields offer little cover, yet they provide something else: uninterrupted space. In that space, sound travels far, visibility is constant, and survival depends not on hiding, but on presence. The evolutionary roots of the lark trace back to landscapes shaped by wind rather than walls. Open terrain favored birds that could endure flight, sustain vocalization, and navigate without landmarks. Over time, the lark's body became optimized not for bursts of speed or agile maneuvering, but for endurance. Its wings are built to carry it upward and keep it there. Its chest supports powerful muscles that fuel long, continuous song flights. Its respiratory system sustains sound where silence would seem more practical. But silence offers no advantage here. The lark's song is not a luxury. It is a declaration that turns vulnerability into control. From high above the ground, the bird broadcasts territory, condition, and intent. Predators hear it. Rivals hear it. Potential mates hear it. In a world with nowhere to hide, information becomes the primary currency of survival. Physically, the lark is unassuming. Its plumage blends into earth tones, browns, creams, subtle streaks that dissolve into grass and soil when the bird is grounded. On the ground, it nearly disappears. In the air, it becomes unmistakable. This duality is intentional. The lark alternates between invisibility and dominance, choosing which state best serves the moment. Flight behavior reflects this balance. Ascending vertically, sometimes to heights where the bird is barely visible, the lark sustains song for minutes at a time. This performance is costly. Energy drains quickly. Exposure increases risk, yet the benefits outweigh the dangers. A strong song flight establishes control over large areas without physical confrontation. It reduces conflict by making presence undeniable. Feeding behavior supports this energy-intensive lifestyle. The lark forages methodically on the ground, consuming seeds, insects, and small invertebrates. Its diet shifts with seasons, demonstrating flexibility that allows it to survive in landscapes where abundance fluctuates unpredictably. Every successful feeding bout contributes directly to the ability to sing, to rise, to be heard. Nesting brings the lark back to the ground, where exposure reaches its peak. Nests are shallow, concealed only by vegetation and stillness. Eggs lie vulnerable to predators, weather, and disturbance. Here again, the lark relies not on defense, but on restraint. Adults approach nests cautiously, avoiding patterns that might reveal location. Chicks learn immobility early, freezing at the slightest hint of danger. The open land teaches harsh lessons quickly. Yet despite these risks, the lark persists, bound to these spaces by a strategy refined across generations. Its life unfolds between earth and sky, silence and sound, concealment and announcement. Where forests would mute its voice, the plains amplify it. Where walls would protect, openness teaches awareness. As the morning brightens, the lark's song continues, drifting across fields that may look empty to human eyes. But they are not empty. They are resonant, alive with a presence that defines itself not by form, but by sound. And above it all, the lark remains suspended, singing not because it is safe, but because in this world, being heard is the safest option of all. The lark's song is not an expression of joy. It is an instrument, precise, costly, and unforgiving. Every sustained note in the open sky draws directly from the bird's physical limits. Oxygen moves faster through its lungs. Muscles burn steadily rather than explosively. The brain maintains coordination while the body hovers in a column of air. This is not performance for beauty's sake, it is an endurance test broadcast to the world. Biologically, the lark is engineered for this demand. Its respiratory system allows continuous airflow, sustaining vocalization without interruption. Neural control over song patterns is unusually refined, enabling long sequences that change subtly rather than repeat mechanically. These variations matter. To rivals, they signal stamina. To mates, they signal genetic quality. To predators, they signal awareness. This bird is alert, strong, and not easily surprised. Competition among larks rarely turns physical. The sky itself becomes the arena. Two males do not clash on the ground, they outsing each other from altitude. Duration replaces aggression. Precision replaces force. The bird that maintains height longer, that holds clarity as fatigue sets in, claims the territory. Conflict resolves through exhaustion rather than injury, an efficient system shaped by exposure where wounds would be fatal. Territories, once established, are not static borders but acoustic zones. Sound defines space. A strong song expands influence beyond visual range, creating invisible boundaries that reduce intrusion. In this way, the lark converts air into architecture. The sky becomes structured, divided not by walls but by voices that overlap and retreat according to strength. On the ground, however, the rules change. Silence becomes essential. The same bird that dominates the sky moves cautiously through grass, minimizing sound, breaking movement into short, irregular steps. This contrast is deliberate. Predators that hunt by sight or sound are met with absence. The lark's life alternates between proclamation and erasure, each time with precision. Human-altered landscapes disrupt this balance. Noise fills the air where silence once existed. Engines, machinery, and constant low-frequency sound mask the lark's song, shrinking its effective range. A call that once carried kilometers now fades within meters. Territories collapse. Competition intensifies. Birds sing longer, louder, spending more energy for diminishing returns. This pressure reshapes behavior. Some larks shift singing times, moving performances earlier into dawn or later into dusk, seeking moments when the world briefly quiets. Others increase altitude, climbing higher to escape ground-level noise. These adjustments come at a cost. Energy expenditure rises. Exposure increases. The margin for error narrows. Feeding must compensate, but altered fields offer fewer options. Monocultures reduce insect diversity. Soil compaction limits invertebrate access. The lark responds by broadening its diet, but flexibility has limits. When energy intake no longer supports prolonged song flights, social structures begin to unravel. Territories blur. Mating success declines quietly, without dramatic collapse. Chicks feel this pressure indirectly. Reduced song strength correlates with lower mate quality and fewer resources. Nest success becomes uneven. Some years produce strong cohorts, others leave gaps that echo for generations. Population change is not sudden, it is rhythmic, pulsing with invisible stress. Migration, where it occurs, compounds the challenge. Along routes shaped by open land, stopover sites shrink and fragment. A bird that relies on sound to claim space now moves through environments where sound is irrelevant or drowned out. Orientation shifts from acoustic to visual cues, demanding rapid cognitive adjustment. Yet even here, the lark persists. It tests, it experiments, it sings into uncertain air, listening for response. Where the echo returns, it stays. Where it does not, it moves on. This constant assessment defines the species, a life lived by feedback, by resonance, by the answer the world gives back to a voice offered freely. As midday approaches, song flights shorten. The sky grows louder with heat and movement. The lark descends, blending once more into grass and soil. For now, silence is safer. But the need to be heard never disappears. It waits, stored as potential, ready for the next opening in the noise. The presence of a lark is never incidental. Where it sings, the land still remembers how to function. The bird's dependence on open, breathable space ties it tightly to ecological balance. Its disappearance is rarely isolated. It is preceded by subtle changes: soil hardening, insect decline, sound pollution, vegetation uniformity. The lark does not cause these shifts. It reveals them. As an insectivore and seed consumer, the lark occupies a quiet but critical position in grassland systems. Its foraging regulates invertebrate populations that directly influence plant health and soil structure. Where larks remain active, insect outbreaks are tempered, seed dispersal patterns stay dynamic, and vegetation maintains heterogeneity. These effects are not dramatic, but they are cumulative, reinforcing resilience across the landscape. Nesting behavior further integrates the lark into its environment. Ground nests influence microhabitats, lightly disturbing soil and vegetation in ways that increase patch diversity. Chicks, through movement and feeding, redistribute nutrients across small scales. Predators adjust their hunting patterns around lark behavior, indirectly shaping pressure on other species. The lark is woven into the system not as a keystone by force, but as a stabilizer through consistency. When larks decline, the unraveling begins quietly. Insect populations shift toward imbalance. Soil processes simplify. Other ground nesting birds experience increased predation as predators reallocate attention. These changes rarely trigger alarms because they lack spectacle. There is no single collapse, only a gradual flattening of complexity. Sound plays a central role in this process. Acoustic space is an ecological resource, as real as water or soil. The lark depends on it to define territory, attract mates, and coordinate survival. When soundscapes fill with noise, that resource disappears. Unlike habitat loss, acoustic degradation is invisible. The land looks intact, but it no longer communicates. This creates a paradox. Conservation efforts may preserve fields and grasslands while overlooking the conditions that make them functional. A silent field is not a healthy field. Without song, territorial structures fail. Without territorial clarity, breeding efficiency drops. Without breeding success, populations thin. The chain reaction is subtle but relentless. Larks respond by compressing their lives. Singing windows shorten, territories shrink, risk tolerance increases. Birds sing closer to danger, nest nearer to disturbance, accept conditions once avoided. These are not signs of resilience alone, they are signs of constraint. Adaptation under pressure leaves little room for error. Young larks raised in these environments inherit less knowledge. They hear fewer songs, learn fewer spatial cues, encounter fewer stable territories. Cultural transmission, how song patterns and behaviors pass between generations, weakens. What is lost is not just numbers, but tradition. A language of the land begins to fade. Yet recovery remains possible where silence returns. Studies show that even modest reductions in noise, combined with diversified land management, can trigger rapid behavioral rebound. Larks sing longer, territories re-expand, nest success improves. The species does not require pristine wilderness. It requires space that listens back. This responsiveness reveals something profound. The lark is not fragile, it is sensitive. Sensitivity is often mistaken for weakness, but in ecological terms, it is an early warning system. The lark reacts before collapse becomes obvious. It withdraws before damage becomes irreversible. To lose the lark is to lose an alarm that was always meant to be heard. As evening approaches, the land cools and sound carries again. If conditions allow, a lark may rise once more, offering a final song before night. It is shorter now, less dominant, but still deliberate. A test, a question, is there still room for this voice? As darkness settles over open land, the lark does not announce itself. There is no final crescendo, no triumphant note held against the night. Instead, the bird lowers into the grass, folding wings against a body shaped by endurance rather than display. The sky that carried its voice all day now absorbs it in silence. Silence, here, is not peace. It is a measurement. For most of its existence, the lark's life has been defined by balance, between sound and stillness, height and concealment, exposure and restraint. Its success has never depended on dominance, only on resonance. The ability to speak into the world and hear an answer return. When that answer fades, the system breaks down quietly, without drama. The modern landscape often mistakes quiet for health. Fields look green, horizons remain wide, but absence is easy to overlook when it leaves no scar. The lark exposes this illusion. Where its song once structured space, guided movement, and regulated conflict, now there may be only background noise or nothing at all. The land still exists, but it no longer listens. This is the lark's final lesson. Survival is not guaranteed by strength, nor by intelligence alone. It depends on alignment, on timing, on environments that move slowly enough for learning to matter. The lark evolved to negotiate with air, with distance, with memory. It did not evolve to compete with engines, constant disruption, or landscapes that change faster than experience can adjust. And yet, it remains remarkably close to recovery. The lark does not require miracles. It does not ask for untouched wilderness. It asks for intervals of quiet, for variation instead of uniformity, for land that allows sound to travel and return. Give it these conditions, and the species responds almost immediately, singing longer, rising higher, reclaiming invisible architecture in the sky. What disappears when the lark vanishes is not only a bird, but a relationship. A way of measuring space through sound. A reminder that communication is not decoration, it is structure. Without it, systems flatten. Complexity drains away. The world becomes louder, but less expressive. At dawn, if conditions allow, a single lark may rise again. One bird, one voice, testing the air. The song may not last long. It does not need to. It only needs to be answered. Because the lark does not demand attention. It offers information, and waits to see if the world is still capable of responding.